Former President Barack Obama said, and I quote, "There's one issue that will define the contours of this century more dramatically than any other, and that is the urgent threat of a changing climate." Environmentalism has long been a passion of mine. From an early age, I was taught about conservation and about personal responsibility. The science of climate change is inescapable. Climate change is happening, and humans are causing it, and its effects will continue to worsen unless we actively take countermeasures to reverse those effects. You should care about this because not only for yourself, but climate change will affect your kids and your kids' kids and on down the line. And they don't deserve to inherit a climate nightmare. To preview, I'm going to be discussing the problem of climate change, some solutions to it, and the benefits to those solutions. So why does a changing climate pose a problem to us in the first place? Here are some effects of climate change. Number one, climate change threatens our natural resources. According to NASA, glacier and continental ice sheets are dwindling. Their coverage is dwindling across the globe, and the extent and the thickness of Arctic sea ice is actually disappearing, and it will be gone completely, it's estimated, in about 30 years. You see, a warmer Earth stresses freshwater systems, which can lead to conflict, and it stresses our energy grid as well. And both of those things create a negative feedback loop, which creates even more emissions. Climate change also threatens our fragile ecosystems. So a report in the journal Nature says up to 1/2 of plants and 1/3 of all animals will have their ranges significantly reduced, and they will be forced to migrate closer to the poles. Coral reefs are being destroyed because of ocean acidification and warming, and because of rising sea levels, according to the NOAA. According to the IPCC, they warn of coming severe droughts, forest fires, floods, and hurricanes, among other extreme weather events. These threaten to displace countless humans and animals across the globe. An article on livescience.com says that agriculture in the United States is poised to be devastated by severe heat, drought, and unusually high numbers of pests that will ravage crops and livestock. So food shortages should be something that we should expect if nothing is done about climate change. Sea level rises threaten to permanently flood coastal cities. So cities like New Orleans, Miami are a couple of the high-risk ones that they might be completely underwater by 2100. Extreme heat waves will cause heat-related deaths across the world, and as well as a proliferation and range extension of insect species that carry diseases like fleas and mosquitoes and ticks. All bad things. So, what can we do to combat climate change? We can reduce our carbon footprint collectively and individually. According to a study from in a journal called IOP Science, there are 3 tiers of effectiveness. The first tier being the most effective. They list 4 things as being the most effective to reduce emissions. And number 1 is having fewer children. There's no way around that. Having fewer children is going to reduce emissions more than anything else. Number 2, live without a car. So walk, bike, take public transportation. They say that this cuts down on your emissions by up to 1/4 for a year. If you can't live without a car like most of us, the next best thing is to buy a more fuel-efficient car or an electric car. That's even better. Number 3, avoid air travel. So they say a round-trip transatlantic flight emits the same amount of greenhouse gas as a person does in India in a whole year. Number 4, eat a plant-based diet, so give up meat completely. I know that's going to be hard to do for most of us, but doing this can reduce our carbon footprint by up to 40%. Tier 2, so these solutions are less effective but still good. Installing solar panels in your home, insulating your home well, buying energy-efficient light bulbs and appliances, conserving energy by turning off lights, washing clothes in cold water and then hanging them up to dry afterwards instead of using the dryer, reducing your consumption overall, so buying less things. The 3 R's, so we've all heard of reuse, recycle, and reduce, and buying local food and products. So that's tier 2. Tier 3, this is better than nothing, but these aren't as good as the first 2, obviously. Conserving water, planting trees, composting your organic material at home, buying carbon offsets, reducing how much lawn mowing you do, reducing traveling in general, and buying organic food. Okay, so why even bother with any of these sacrifices? Well, the benefits of reducing our collective carbon footprint are many. Preserving our natural resources will help us to avoid unnecessary conflicts in the future over water or food, as well as enhancing our quality of life. Protecting fragile ecosystems ensures the survival and the flourishing of a diverse range of plants and animals, as well as their habitats. And avoiding catastrophic effects for our civilization is huge. That will lead to mitigating this needless suffering of millions of people worldwide. So, what about you? Are you getting motivated to help yet? To review, I have covered climate change and how it is a monumental threat to our species. It threatens our natural resources, our fragile ecosystems, as well as our entire way of life. So what can we do about it? We can make small changes to reduce our footprint. Doing our part will help offset those effects of climate change. Obama was right. This generation, our generation, will determine the outcome for the future, for future generations, and what kind of world they inherit. My advice is start small. Do one thing. Pick one thing that I listed and make it a daily routine. The future generations will thank you for it. Thank you for listening.